So welcome everyone back again. I'm here with Juan, my friend from Tabernacle of Glory. He's ministering in the church. Uh, as you guys know, I'm a big believer of God, and myself as a Christian, and my friend Juan as well is ministering in the church. I never had a person in my podcast who's actually from a ministry, so it's a huge welcome to him, and thank you for coming in my podcast.
Hey man, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a great pleasure to not just meeting in the church and
Yes.
like seeing your service, because I seen you speak in front of thousands of people pretty much, and when the church opening was just few weeks ago,
Yeah.
I was expecting you to be there, but I couldn't make it. But it's a pleasure to be here and having fun.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're gonna have fun today. It's gonna be a different experience and a different vibe. But yeah, as you said, we're brothers in the faith, and we're here to serve, and we're here to clarify any doubts that you may have, and to be a blessing to the people in general.
You know, I know you now is like few years, but I never had a opportunity to ask you, like, how did you get into Christianity? How did you get? Because we just met, and it's just our life is like continue. We never had a 2 minutes to sit down talk like we're
Yeah.
doing right now.
Definitely, and it's a good time.
Yeah, it
It's a
is.
perfect timing, and yeah, definitely coming to the Lord. It's a journey that happened long time ago. So just to give you like a short story, my mom, we were Catholics since I was born. I was born in a Catholic family. My grandma, she was very Catholic, and my mom, I was even baptized in the Catholic faith. And one day, somebody invited my mom to the Christian church, and my mom was a little like skeptical because she was always a Catholic, and my grandma, she was very into Catholic, so she knew that making that decision, it would be going against her own mom. But eventually, so she joined the Christian church, and she got saved. And I was like 7 years old when that happened. And ever since then, we started to go to the Christian church, and we started the journey as a Christian while when I was 7 years old. But I grew up in the church, so I always had that fear for the Lord since I was a young kid.
But did you feel Catholic is yours or
No, I never did,
That's
because
happened with me.
that's a religion that it was imposed to me. That it was not my choice. But when I had the chance to choose what I wanted to be, it was around like 12 years old, when one day the pastor was preaching, and he said that if somebody wants to give their lives to Christ, and I felt deeply in my soul that I wanted to make that decision. I was 12 years old, and I made that decision, and I accepted Christ when I was 12 years old. Nevertheless, I backslid, and I went to the world when I was like in my young ages, and I went to the world, and I was like in the world completely. But even though I was in the world, I always had fear because I grew up in a Christian family. I had the fear of the God, and that makes me like always like be fearful and always be careful on everything that I did in the world. So that's how, and I eventually came back to the Lord, because God always brings you two ways. Either you come voluntarily, or you come because you got no other choice but God.
because you get
And
you
that
get
was
punished by life?
exactly. So that was my case. I came to the Lord when I had no other choice but God.
First of all, I never thought I'm going to talk about this in my life, because I was always grow up in a family where, that was kind of like, not a shame, but it was like a lot of people fear and doesn't like to talk about this.
Yes.
So I'm glad we talk about this, because this is the first time I'm been doing this publicly, and I think we should, and we have to talk about it, because people doesn't like, they talk about everything else, money, lifestyle, everything, but in deep down, everybody should know where it's coming from, and then what's the belief and the meaning of it. So my dad also, I grew up in a family, we were a Catholic family in Europe, but since day first, meaning day first, when I was start to sing the word, I never believed it. I never believed it inside because now I know I don't believe what human create. And to me, Catholic, it's I feel it's like made by, because there is Saint Juan, Joseph, Marie. I feel Catholic is like people made it up, and you become just saint whatever because you did something good. So it looks like it's a never end story to me, Catholic. So I never believed it, and you know my story, how I get pretty much saved to by punished in my personal life. That's how through Shanta we get to the point when
I wouldn't say
went
I
to
wouldn't say
church.
I wouldn't say punish, because it's not a punishment. It's
Yeah.
it's experiences that you
Yeah.
gather. So the Lord brings you to do His will, in a good way or in a not too good way. So it means that even though He brought you the hard way, still it's an experience that you had.
No,
and
you're
and
right.
Christianity, it's about having experience with the Lord, experience what God has for you. And that's interesting that you mentioned it, because many people don't like to talk about their religion. And because we have to understand that Jesus is not a religion. So we talk about Catholics, we talk about Muslims, we talk about Christians, we talk about Jewish. It's Jesus Christ didn't come for a religion. Jesus Christ came for the kingdom, and we are all part of the kingdom. So whenever we start realizing that Jesus is not a religion, Jesus is it's a style, it's a lifestyle, it's something that you live with, and you have to learn how to live with.
That's 100% sure, because since I'm in the Tabernacle of Glory like 9 years actually, and I realized that's become from my lifestyle,
Yes.
and it's like a good habit to have, but I'm not taking as a habit. It's just the way you do it, you continue, you consistent, and you realize back to the sleep. So I will have few questions, but when I practicing before going bed and pray, I always sleep better because my mind is focused. So I'm in a total different level when
Yes.
I'm praying, and I realized to be part of this and praying and consistent. So that's a huge game. And then you and we went actually
2022.
2022 together through the church to Israel.
Yes.
To me, that was like one of the last like confirmation. Okay, this is the way. Because what we experienced, and actually we had one time like a experience together. It was just out of the world, and I was wondering like, what is your thoughts on what's going on right now in that part of the world? Because as was predicted, when Jesus comes, it's gonna be a big war. Do you think he's part of it, or what do you think? What's going on there is what is your thoughts about that?
I think it's part of the process. It's part of what the Bible talks about, the second coming of Jesus. It would have to, like, different aspects of humanity will come to pass different events. Wars are one of them. Like what's going on right now in Europe with Ukraine and Russia. It's part of what the coming of Jesus. What's happening in Israel, particularly with the persecution of the Jewish, it's also part of what the scripture talks about. I feel like everything it's made by God for a purpose. I feel like Jewish people are being attacked and are being persecuted around the world, and this is not the first time it happens. Remember what happened in World War II with Germany persecuting all the Jewish, the Holocaust and all of the things. But I feel like this is part of the process that we as humanity have to live and have to experience before the coming of Jesus Christ.
To me, is it's very scary time. I would say that's very scary because anywhere you see now in the world is
It's wars, it's different things, and not
it's
just
very
in
tight.
Europe. Like you can see things happening in America as well. All of the things that are going on, we're definitely living difficult times that we all have to be prepared.
Especially in the U.S., which is the whole democracy and the whole structure in the U.S. based on Christianity, based on Bible, based on the whole thing. And now we kind of see we going a far from that. Because I don't want to go into politics, but you know what's going on with you can do whatever you want, you can dress
Yes.
whatever you want. That's definitely not the right way to do it, and definitely not. So that's to me also like very weird time. So anywhere I go, anywhere I see any part of the world, it's just like so tight. Like you never know when it's gonna crack. That's the last time I felt when we went to Israel, because we were in Jerusalem and in the side there is other
Other
nations,
religions,
and you can
yes.
feel like
Tension.
a tension. That's what
Yes.
I feel right now across the world. Actually.
Everywhere you go, you gotta be like, right now, you gotta be mindful and very skeptical about what you're gonna say, what you're gonna
Oh, yeah.
do, because, as you said, we're living in difficult times where you gotta be mindful of your surroundings. And the most important thing is about Christianity and being fearful to God is that no matter where you go, you still have the protection of God. And whatever you said, if you said according to God's will, He's gonna back you up.
Yeah.
So
But either way, I got told, watch what you say, because you cannot say things the way you think. And even if you are in America and this is the place where you can say things, but still you cannot say
yes,
things.
definitely. And even churches nowadays, a lot of churches, they avoid certain subjects because the government
great,
or
yeah.
or people, media, traditional media, can suppress what you're saying because they control what you have to say pretty much. So a lot of churches and a lot of congregations, they rather stay away from politics, stay away from specific religions because they don't want to create controversy.
Yeah, that makes sense. What do you think about? I mean, I don't know if you want to you want to say what you thought about the Olympic in Paris. Like, what is your thoughts about this opening? It was very weird.
Well, it was definitely weird, and it was definitely an act of the devil. I truly believe that things like this are gonna continue to happen in the world as we get far from Jesus. A lot of people and a lot of countries, specifically in Europe, they're very open about sexuality. They're very open in terms of what they believe, and open to what they feel and what they think is right. But the more we are away from the truth, which is God and Jesus, not just religion, but the truth about Jesus Christ, the more we are away from Him, the more liberal we become, the more we accept those things. And at a certain point, those things become normal to society because, as I said, whenever you are away from Jesus, those things become normal, and that's the new normality in the world.
It's pretty much yes, because anywhere you go, anywhere you like, just open up your phone, you're going through Instagram, that's what you see, and it's opening up. Like they let you to see the more, they let you to experience more, and it's feel like totally normal. So
And
kinda
it's scary. It's scary because children are exposed to those kind of behavior, those kind of things, and as parents, we have to make sure our kids are protected. But in these days, how do you protect your kids? How do you protect the younger generations from those things? It's just kind of like very difficult because it's everywhere in the medias. Everywhere you open a social media, it's there. So the only way you can protect your kids is by instructing them the truth, instructing them in the right path. which is God, pretty much.
I assuming that's what you do in your house. Like I see you guys, they always going to church, the kids there. So I'm assuming you
Yes.
teach them, and I think in your family, I see is like very
Yes, because
normal.
the Bible says that instruct the kids into the Lord, and whenever they grow up, they're never gonna walk away from Him. So whenever you instruct your kids into the paths of God, they're always gonna grow having that fear for God. As I said, I was in the world. I was a sinner. I sinned a lot because I backslid, and I went to the world and I lived according to what the world said. But even though I was in the world, I always had the fear for God that didn't let me go that far, because I know that in my inside, I knew that I was doing wrong, that I had God was watching me.
So you benefited from this pretty much, like
Absolutely. So that's why, because I was instructed when I was a kid. I was sent to this path of fearing God, and I grew up with the fear of God, and that made me the person that I am right now. Because otherwise, I wouldn't be preaching the gospel if I wasn't instructed by fear of God.
what was your best and more remarkable experience in the churches when you like, because I see you preaching many times, and I'm pretty sure you had the experience what we from outside we never see it, but you had
Yes.
it like.
Well, a different experience. As you said, the Lord brings you, either you come voluntarily, or you come because you had a difficult experience in the world. I had a difficult experience. I almost died. I had an accident, and I almost died. I almost lost my hand.
It was
And it was a terrible experience where I had nothing else but to come to Jesus, and that's where it changed and it transformed my life. Whenever you are in the world, you feel things, but you feel like you're not complete. You feel empty, and I was going through that situation where I was like feeling empty. I was alone, and I had no other choice but Jesus. It was either I die or I come to Jesus.
I remember you were in the army as well.
Yes.
In Venezuela, right?
Yes.
And from the army, you came to Christ. This to me is always like a two opposite, like a weirdest part. Like someone who is in the army, and then protect obviously your country, but that's to me is like a two opposite,
Two separate worlds.
Yeah.
But yeah, like when I was in my times in the army, it was like I right now I feel like I wasted a lot of time that I was away from the Lord. But at the same time, it was experience that I gained, because I wouldn't be here if the experiences I had didn't pass to me. Means that I always say this, that I wish I was a Christian back then, because I would have helped a lot of people that needed Christ when I was in the military. But at the same time, you know, the experience you had, the Lord is preparing you for a certain time. We function in the Kairos time. Kairos means that it's the time of God. We think that it's our time, but no, in reality, we live in the time that God has created us for.
What would be the best advice for people who listen and they not Christian yet, and they, let's say, way far, maybe in the army, or they're doing something what they're not supposed to? How would you make them to change their mind and come to Christ?
Well, coming to Christ, as I said, it's a lifestyle. It's not something that you impose to people. It's something that they have to do it voluntarily, because it's experience that you have. It's sometimes, you know, I always say this, and there's more than just having a job. There's more than just going to work, have a nice house, have a nice car, have a family. There's always more than that. And there's where you find yourself like, wait, what am I doing for humanity in general?
No.
Because yeah, people don't think about it, but many people, they have a job, they have their lives, but they don't have a real purpose. And that's what Christ is, having a purpose. What are you doing for humanity? What are you doing for society? What are you doing for your community? It's having a purpose, because there's always more. There's more than just having a regular job or having your business or having a nice house. It's always more. But what are we doing to make that purpose come to pass into our lives?
Yeah, I was not last time, like not too long ago, it crossed my mind, like basically in the church, people always says like, oh, I'm not gonna pay, because that's the biggest like problem to people, like donating. But I understood the meaning of it, and then this is not all about giving money because the church need the money. It's a war inside your head when you understand and realize what is all about giving. It's not all about, like, how do you explain? When you inside your head you decide you're giving, but you're not giving to make the church running. You're giving because you understand if you let it go, you get to the different level. Because when you let it go and you give the money, it's totally the opposite what going on in his people's mind. But to understand this, you have to be on the level of like a type of mindset what you only understand if you're doing it and if you believe it. Otherwise, if you don't believe, then you always struggle to give.
Yes.
The moment you let it go and you understand what is the purpose behind giving, and you're giving from your bottom of your heart, and then you're giving like not because I know the church need to pay, whatever, is like a commitment.
Yes.
You're giving for your bottom of your heart and you're not missing that. When I understand that moment, giving was a pleasure.
Definitely.
And-
And definitely.
And that was the hardest to me to accept and to understand, because like when people ask for money, that's the hardest thing to let it go. But from that point, I was like, man, everything changed to me.
Yes.
To me, it was like a whole change.
And let me tell you something. I was in the same position. I before coming to Christ, I was always very unbeliever in terms of giving, because I was like, man, you give all this money to the church and you don't know what they do with it.
Yeah.
Because
that was like
you-
a thought in your
And
back
that's
in your
like
mind.
maybe you're giving it to the pastor.
Yeah.
Maybe you're giving it to make the pastors rich, or whatever they do. But when I came to God, to Christ, I understood the real purpose of giving.
Yeah.
And when as you said, when I found out the real purpose of my giving, it's like it blew my mind,
Yeah.
because I was wrong this whole time.
Yeah, I felt the same. I was like, man, it's not about, it's a totally different experience, a totally different of feeling. And when you give and you're giving from your heart and you don't even miss it, the moment you let it go, you don't have any thoughts what I had before, like zero negative, zero like. And then even my dad says like, yeah, you get brainwashed. I was like, no, this is not about we get brainwashed. It's all
Yes.
about to be free and to a level like it's hard to describe, but you literally feel good when you give.
And you know what? Let me tell you something. Most of the big guys, the rich guys, they understand the purpose of giving.
Oh yeah.
Even though they are not believers, even though they may not believe in Jesus, or they may not believe in God in general, but they understand there's a blessing behind giving. There's a purpose, there's a reason behind giving. So every rich person, every company talking about the big guys, they always have their organizations, their nonprofit organizations, their charities, because they understand that there's this sense of giving, that the more you give, the more you receive.
Yeah.
So whenever you give, you receive. And that's a principle in the Bible. But the unbelievers, they don't know that there's a principle in the Bible, but they just know that works. So they do it. They give money, they give to charities, they donate to churches, because they understand that there's a principle behind it. And whenever we understand the same principle and it's applied in our lives, then we become a source of blessing for others. And the more you bless, the more the Lord blesses you.
Did you know most of the 500 Fortune companies build the structure of the business built on biblical principles?
Exactly.
Like Grant Cardone, his company is based on that.
Yep.
His partner, I don't know his name. His best friend was a pastor who actually came to the church, John
Maxwell.
John Maxwell. So he was them advisor, and the whole company based on structural principle.
Yeah,
biblical
for example,
principle.
the owner of Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby is a big chain of stores around the United States, and not everybody knows it. That's like the owner is a Christian. He's not a pastor. His parents, they were pastors, but he preaches the gospel in his business, and the whole chain of Hobby Lobby is a Christian-based business, and now you know about Hobby Lobby because it's a big chain of stores around the United States, but they don't know that the owner is a Christian, that he touches more people than any other pastor in the world. Whenever he do his convention with all of his employees around the United States, we're talking about thousands of employees. They gather together, and he had the opportunity to preach the gospel to all of his employees.
That's a good strategy.
So the business structure was built upon Christian principles.
I think the Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A,
that's also, they don't work on Sunday. That's
yes,
it. It's not open on Sunday.
They observe the Sunday.
And even they not open on Sunday, so they're missing 4 weeks, and which is Sunday, like one of the busiest.
Yep.
And they still the best.
They're the number one.
Yeah.
Because they build their business with principle of the Bible, principle of Jesus.
Yeah, you don't know, but in my company with Chantal, we also doing and following a lot of principles and be making a lot of change. As right now, we just have every Monday a meeting, 7:30, and we make changes to order to become a Christian company. And our common friends, Dr. Michel, told me like, your company must be, and your company is called to be. And I was like, to me, with Dr. Michel, it was like a dragging situation, because he came in my life and he's like said what he said. I was like, it's hard to accept.
Yes.
And then after a year, I was like, oh man, he was always right.
Yes.
And then now I'm like, okay, now I wasted so much time, 5-6 years, and now it's like, okay, start to applying and start to understand like, oh man, I will be way ahead if I would just follow this principle, which actually wouldn't even hurt me. It's just like, oh man, like people doesn't feel confident to talk about. And if you go to a younger generation right now, you talk about Christianity, they're like laughing at you, like literally like they mocking you, like this is a joke. But that's actually what I'm seeing in the world. Like that's actually happening. Anywhere you go, they're mocking the Christianity, and every like I'm talking about major singers.
Yes.
They like make certain tattoos. They
make fun about it.
They praising the devil, but a lot of people doesn't understand, because there is like a perfect strategy behind. So that's why a lot of people don't even see it. But if you point it out, it's right there.
Yep. And that's good that you mentioned that like your business is being built upon Bible principles,
Yeah.
because that's the key of success.
Yeah.
There's a passage in the Bible that says, the fear of God
Mm-hmm.
is the principle of knowledge. So it means that whenever you fear the Lord gives you knowledge, the Lord gives you wisdom to manage your business,
That's my.
to build your business.
This is one of the like when I pray. After as forgiveness, the second thing's just I'm asking for
Wisdom.
wisdom. That's it.
Because, you know,
You
it's
don't need
interesting.
anything
And
except that.
in the business world,
Mhm.
whatever the most important thing is wisdom, is
It is.
knowledge.
You don't need anything.
People think, and especially Christians,
Mhm.
people think that God is gonna bless you, and God is gonna send the blessing your way. But that's not how the Bible works. That's not how the Bible explains it. That's not how it actually works. God is gonna bless you, but that doesn't mean that He's gonna send the blessings to you. He's gonna give you the wisdom. He's gonna open doors, but you have to go after the blessing. You have to go and work for your blessing. It's not that God's just gonna pour the blessing onto you. And that's a principle that we have to understand, that in business, God doesn't bless those who are idle, those who are not doing anything. If you're sitting around at home, if you're just sitting around, God doesn't bless that people, because you have to be working. You have to have something for God to bless that something. It's incredible how it works.
I cannot agree better than this. Like I'm 100% sure agree, and that's the only one thing I sometimes with certain people when I talk, it's kind of like a issue, because I like to say what I'm thinking sometimes. So people says you just have to, you don't need nothing, just believe. And I
Yes.
always says not true, because you believe 100% sure and you meant to be doing things, but if you're not like you not go for it, you just let it fall. That's not
Exactly.
gonna happen. And then that's from my experience, a lot of people just, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think most Christian issue is this. They just believe like 100% sure, like never ever, nobody can believe better, but they don't do anything for it. They just like
Exactly.
waiting.
That's
They don't
exactly.
move.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
They don't move.
Christians, and that's why I said Christian, because that's the majority of people that they believe that God is going to bless them.
Yeah.
They believe and they have faith that God is going to bless them, and that's good. That I'm not saying it's bad; it's good. But the Bible says faith without action is dead.
Yeah.
So it means that it's good to have faith, but you need to have actions. You need to start
100%.
executing. You need to start moving. You need to start looking. You need to start knocking on doors. God is going to open the doors. God is going to provide. God is going to make the way. But you need to start moving. You need to start working. You need to start, hustling. Because otherwise, the blessings are not going to come just out of nowhere.
Yeah, my best, always to tell people story. When the guy is in the island waiting for the boat, he got in the island by himself and was like, God save me somehow. God sent the boat, and then they asked the guy like, hey, you want to come with us? We can save you. No, God is going to save me.
Yes.
So it's like 2-3 boats pass by, and in the end, the island is going to start to sink. He's about to die. And he has God like, hey, what did you do? I was believing like so hard. I was like, bro, I sent you like 3 boats.
I sent you 3 boats.
You should just grab one of them, and that's it. I think that's if people will see this in a different way, I will change a lot of life, a lot of business. And because a lot of people just believe, but they not go for it. They just doesn't want to take like action.
Exactly.
I would say it, or
And most of the people, they have ideas. And that's an idea that they have in their head. But until they grab that idea and they start executing that idea, then the blessings are going to start coming.
I think your business come the same way, right? Like you had a dream.
Yes.
You just told me you had a dream, and then based on that dream, that's how the whole company got built, and that's everything just started.
Yes. as I said, a lot of us, we have ideas, we have dreams, but whenever we start building those dreams and we start getting those, whenever it's in your head, it's just an idea, it's a dream.
Yeah.
But when you bring that idea or that dream onto a piece of paper and you start planning according to that idea, that becomes a project. Once you have that project, that becomes a reality. But you have to take that idea, you have to take that dream out of your mind, put it into a piece of paper, and start planning according to it. Yeah. When I first started my first business, it was just an idea. It was a dream that I had. I remember it was during COVID. I had a dream about this business, and I was like, yeah, it was a dream. It was a good dream. I thought about it. It was just a good dream. But then my wife had the same dream, and she told me about it. And when she told me, I was like, wait, I had the same dream. So, and she was like, why didn't you tell me? Because I was like, yeah, it was just a dream. It was a good dream that I had. But then when we combined it, her dream and my dream, it was the same dream. It was the same vision. So I was like, you know what? Let's start executing. Let's put it into a piece of paper. Let's map a plan, and let's start working towards it. And that's how we did during COVID, where everybody was being laid off the jobs. Everybody was losing their businesses. Everybody was like struggling financially. I remember the Lord gave me that dream during COVID, and my business had like a huge success. It was like a boom into my business. Like I didn't even expect it. I wasn't even expecting that because it was difficult times financially, but the Lord blessed me like beyond measure. I remember I was like, I was able to get like financial freedom because of that business. And I was like, it's incredible. Out of just an idea, just a dream, the Lord built something with it. And the most important is that I was able to bless a lot of people. You cannot imagine the many people that still calls me and say, hey, Juan, I just can't thank you enough because you blessed me during COVID where I was laid off from my work. But I found you, I found your company, and it was a blessing for me. I was able to save my house. I was able to save my family because of that business, because of that opportunity you gave me. I received tons of emails, people just thanking me like.
That was the first company, the marketing, or
Yes, that was the back office company. It's a marketing and customer service off company. And yeah, I was like, we were working all remote because COVID, you couldn't go to an office.
Yeah.
And it was built in the perfect timing. And it was a blessing. It was, so I started to apply all the principles from the Bible into the company. I started to sow into the ministry. I started to do charities with the company. I remember I told the accountant, which is my mother, I was like, let's set up the 10% of the income into charity. And we started to bless a lot of people during COVID. We did different organizations, donated food, donated clothing, donated masks. And we went to help the children in need. We helped children in Haiti. We helped the children in Honduras. So we did a lot of things through the business because I understood that God blessed us. It's time for us to bless others.
So you definitely can prove it.
Yes.
If you believe it and you make it, it's like it's help your business. So you build your business based on the biblical principles and
faith.
And the faith, pretty much.
But not just faith. I had to take actions. We had to take actions because faith without actions is dead.
I always like to repeat my favorite notes from the YouTube, actually. Then dream without goals is just a dream.
Yes.
So that's the same. Like if you're not moving, it's not gonna happen. So you need goals. You need like dreams, and you have to have an action. Otherwise, it's just a dream.
Yes.
Like
it's just a
in
dream.
your situation, if you will just pass on, you never know what's gonna happen with it. So.
Yes. And because that's something that is important whenever you have a dream. bring it out of your mind, bring it out of your head. Because if it's in your head, it's just a dream.
Yeah.
There's people with good dreams, but they don't bring it out of their head. They don't put it into a paper. Once it's in a paper, it's an idea. It's a project.
I was amazed actually. You just said that you had I mean, I saw it on Instagram because always Instagram pop up your business, the kids ministry, that the kid, and there is a tens of thousands people involved, and then you started doing the printing of the shirts. The event just came, the whole ministry just opened up, the new church opened, and it's like thousands of shirts in every corner, and a lot of people just bought it. So that was a great decision again. So you have this business as well. So it's just,
and as I said, it always
how it's lined
starts.
up is crazy.
Yeah, it starts in the perfect timing.
Yeah,
God's timing. As long as you do it in God's
that
timing.
was my biggest mistake because I always thought it's my time.
Yes.
And the moment I let it go, and I was like, okay, because Chantal always said that this is not about you. I was like, man, I was building this business to helping people, so how can be now me? And then, when I put these puzzles together and understand these little things, everything just like another level, another level, another level, another level. Like, when we spoke a few years ago and I told you like a little details, and even we spoke about my business just briefly in Israel, and I needed that time a little help. But the moment I let it go, and actually after Israel, a lot of things just make sense and came to my mind, and even we came back, 2 months later, everything changed, and then other meeting went through. I saw, and everything just changing like month to month to month to month to month. So it's just like crazy. So sometimes I just like to go and listen the service because that 5 minutes changed my next 2 months. It's crazy.
God has a provision for every season of your life.
100%.
So it means that sometimes you're just waiting, but you're still working for it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, God opens a door like this. Opens a door, opportunity starts flowing, contracts starts flowing, more business starts flowing, but you gotta start working, and you still do have to do your part. So the Bible says that God brings us from glory to glory. It means that your stage right now is not gonna be compared to your stage in your future. God has something better for you in your future, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna stop working for what God put you in you towards your goals. It means that you still have to be working, but God is gonna open another level in the future, because the Bible says this. He takes us from glory to glory. So your current stage of life is nothing compared of your future stage of life, because God is gonna move your business. God's gonna move your life into another level in maybe tomorrow, in 2 days from now, and who knows? But we have to start working towards those goals and just waiting for the right door to open and the opportunity to open.
No, that's 100% sure. I cannot even argue with it because I was living it, and then it's just amazing how my life changed. And I'm glad I can talk about this. And I just put it. Actually, took me a lot of time to get to this point because I told Jay, my friend, like I want to talk about, but it's somehow always I was like, you know what, it's not the right time. You know what, how people are gonna talk about because I'm going from construction to this. But I got to the point like this is it. So I have to talk about. I have to put it in my daily life and just to live with it. And actually, kind of similar feeling when I made the decision to like and understand what is like donating and giving. And then I had kind of the same experience when I called you up, like, listen, I think I'm okay, let's do it. So that was like a interesting experience to me.
And it's good because, people need to know about where you came from, and people need to know what you did in order for you to be here. because it's a process.
Oh, yeah.
People always just see the good part of you, but they don't see the struggles you had to go to be where you are.
You know me in the church. You know, when you have a video about the pastor, click number 7 and leave your testimony. I never done this. So, and I have so much testimony, and I never did it. So I was like, okay, the time is here.
Yes.
I have to, because I have so many testimony, even some of them. So that's why I want to put it out.
Yes, and that was one of conversation I had with your wife the other day. I was telling her, like, you guys need to tell your testimony to people, because your testimony is transforming. Your testimony can transform somebody else's life.
It's 100% sure, because in the church, a lot of people know me now, and a lot of people asking, a lot of people see something is behind us, something is moving, but I'm kind of like in the background. Like, I mean, I cannot be in the background, but they always ask me, and they always tell me, and I never did it. So I always like, okay, I think I have to say it, because even in the 40 days, there's a lot of people give a testimony. I never did it. But I had like giant, big testimony, but I know I will change life is. So.
Definitely. And
so
one of the things I see in you, and I always said this, you have access to people that a pastor will never have access.
Yeah.
Through your business, you can touch many lives that not a pastor will never have access to those people. So God put you in this position for you to touch souls that will never come to church. Yeah. 99% of the people that work outside, they're never going to come into the church. So it means that as a pastor or people in the ministry will never have access to the people that works for you or the people that you know. But God placed you in this position for you to be a source of blessing and influence others.
It is true, because like I said, I wasted 5 years. And then when you came to me, actually I was like, oh, I was like surprised. I was like, why he came? But I was hesitated for a little bit. And then just timing didn't come the well. And I called Jay and I was like, let's do it. Because I felt the same as what you just said. I postponed a little bit my podcast, and I postponed my videos and postponed a lot of things. I was literally looking for what direction I'm gonna do. And I realized what you just said, a lot of people asking me for advice on certain things, but when I tell them, they make it. They for those people, it really matter what I say. So I was like, okay, let's put out something what a lot of people doesn't know about me. And for a lot of people will be very interesting to see about me. And then also in my culture and my people, I'm from Hungary, as a lot of people know. For those people, it's going to be like, oh, wow, experience, because we don't really believe Christianity and we don't really talk about. And then people just like, I know from people in my country, they were laughing on me about doing this, but actually it was time here, and it's every single minute is worth it. So I will keep continue. Yes. I'm putting out contents, and definitely, probably maybe we're coming back in a future, or coming back with the new content. But I'll definitely going on this direction. And I'm going to involve construction with Christianity, and also a lot of people ask me about my success. Like, how did you do that? And I was always like, I didn't feel confident to say through God.
Yes.
But I get to the point, like, if I'm not saying, I feel like I'm making something wrong. Yeah, I'm holding. I feel now a hold. So I got to the point that I have to let it go, and it's going to be better.
And whenever you let go, God's going to pour more over it.
Yeah. That's what I've been struggling in, like, maybe you realize, like, in the past few years, like, I'm like, because a lot of people told me what you just said in the church, and I was like, Yeah, but so I had
Yes.
to
And
the time.
sometimes the same happened to me. Like I was waiting for
Mhm.
the right time, but when is it the right time?
Yeah, like
You don't
you
know.
answered in the beginning. This is God time, not your
Exactly.
time.
So
So
right now is the time for you to pour the knowledge that God has put onto you, and somebody else is gonna be blessed. And the more you give,
the more you
the
get.
more you get, because when you give, you're making space, you're making room for more. So
Exactly.
it's important for us to give, because the Bible says that by grace it's being given to us. So everything that we have is not something that we deserved, or it's not something that we simply just wanted. No, it's something we receive by grace. And if we receive it by grace, we have to give it by grace. We have to give to people. We have to give with through our knowledge, through our experiences, and a lot of people, like as you said, also approach me like, hey, how can I do to start the business? How can I do to start my business? And that's what like people don't know, and many people don't execute because they don't know. But we are called to make a difference. We are called to make an influence on people's lives.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect opportunity for us to open ourselves and open our key for success. And we all know that our key for success is God. That our businesses are built upon biblical principles. And those are the key to our success. What makes us successful is the fear for the Lord. So
That's great.
we have to give what God gives us. And a lot of people I hear in different communities, different churches, like they have ideas, they have good ideas, but they don't know how to start. They don't know how to execute the ideas.
That's one of the hardest.
Yeah, and it's the hardest way. The hardest part is to start,
Oh yeah, that's
because
always
once you start, the Lord's
hardest way
gonna
to start.
Yes.
Hardest way to not give up. The hardest way to go.
not
So
to
there's
give
always
up.
always a challenges, but
Yeah, because in the beginning, like every other project, every business, in the beginning, it's always hard.
Oh, yeah.
It's always hard to be consistent. It's always hard to be there, but you gotta still do it,
Yeah.
because it only requires one door to open, and then you're gonna flow and you're gonna enter into another season of your life.
yeah, one call can change your whole business and your whole life. For
Exactly. So just let's just keep trying. Never give up. If I can say something to the people watching us, is never give up. Always be consistent in your dreams. Always be faithful to God. But the most important, execute. Take actions. God is not going to bless somebody that is just sitting down, waiting for the blessing.
That was my last question, but you already answered my last question. What will be your advice? So you already give the last advice. So I'm glad you came and we had this finally, my first video about what is my success, what is behind my success really is. And then I'm glad we had this podcast, and
Yes.
I'm glad we talk about, and I have a feeling we will have continue videos, and we will have we'll be back videos, because
Definitely.
this is just the first step, the first video, and I think that's gonna made me to release talk about this, and more come, I will say. So
Definitely.
I'm very happy for these videos and this whole show.
Definitely, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing to be a blessing for others.
Yeah.
It's always God always pours more than what you expect. Having success in life, it requires sacrifices. It requires a lot of hustling. I remind myself one of the stories in the Bible. That's one of my key parts that I always remember, and it motivates me, and it should be a motivation for others too, because when Elijah was passing by a town, there was a widow, and this widow, she lost everything. She lost her husband, all of the people that she owed money came and took 2 kids from her to make them slaves and work for them. So the widow told the prophet Elijah and said, please help me. Please help me. And Elijah said, like, how can I help you? What do you, and it's interesting what Elijah said. It said, what do you have? What do you have? And that's the key question for most of us. What do you have? Because whatever you have, that's what the Lord is going to use to bless you. But if you don't have nothing,
That's good.
how the Lord is going to bless you if you don't have anything? Many people are saying, God, please bless me, please bless me. But God is just waiting there saying, what do you want me to bless you?
Yeah, that's a
Bless
good
me
question.
is a very broad question. It's a very broad word. Like, it's a very huge word. What do you want me to bless you? You have to present something to God. But instead of saying, God bless me, say, God, give me wisdom so I can start executing my business.
Correct.
God wants something from you. And that something is an idea. Okay, let me present this idea to God. Okay, this is my plan. God, what are your plans? Because the Bible says that the plans of the diligent leads to abundance. Mm-hmm. That's a principle that I always apply in my life. The plans of the diligent leads to abundance. So it means that if you have an idea, start executing as a plan. Whenever you're putting into a plan and you're working towards that plans, you put objectives, you put goals, then the Lord's going to bless. And then you can come to the Lord and say, God, this is my plan. This is my idea. Mm-hmm. Bless this idea. And there's where the Lord's going to bless. It's going to open a door. It's going to open opportunities. But we have something to give to the Lord. The widow, mm-hmm. the prophet said, what do you have? And the widow said, I only have a can and some oil. Mm-hmm. And the prophet said, go and get all of the pans that you have around the neighborhood. And he multiplied the oil into everything. So it means that he multiplied the blessings. So you just need something, an idea, put it into a plans. And those plans are going to lead to abundance.
I think most of us has this problem when you always ask God for something, but you never know what you want.
Exactly. It's interesting how people work these days and how people act these days. People wants to be blessed, but they don't know the source of the blessing. Whenever you know the source of the blessing, whenever you know who's behind the success, who's behind your blessing, who's behind all of the things that you're doing. So as a Christian, as a non-believer, there's many people out there that don't know Jesus. There's many people out there that don't know how to start the business. They don't know how to become successful. The Bible says that, beloved, I want you to prosper as your soul prosper. That's what the Bible says. I want you to prosper as your soul prosper. It means that the ideal design that God gave you is for you to be prosperous. That's the ideal design. God designed us to be prosperous. That God didn't design us to be poor, to be living in misery, to living in poverty. That's not the plan that God has. Because the Bible said that I know the plans that I have for you. It means that God already created a plan for us. And those plans are better than ours. But if we align our plans with God's plan, then we become successful. Aligning our plans with God's plans. That's the key of success. And I want to encourage you that if you're watching us today, wherever you're watching us, the key of success is aligning your plans with God's plan. Because it's always God's plans that are going to succeed over our plans. And as I said before, the plans of the diligence lead to abundance. Everything is about planning. Everything is about planning. And one thing I've learned from being in the ministry is that you have to plan your whole day. Yeah. I have my agenda and I map everything that I'm going to do within the whole day, the whole week, the whole month, and the whole year. Because whenever you plan and you plan accordingly, that's going to lead to abundance. That's the principle that the Bible speaks. Plan is the key of your success. Whenever you plan your day, There's many people that they don't know what to do. They have a lot of free time. They have a lot of idle time. But whenever you plan and you take a step forward to be organized in your daily schedule and you work towards it, you plan accordingly. You start reading books, because that's gonna help you to increase the knowledge. Read also the Bible. The Bible gives you a lot of principles that you not even aware of, but the Bible always gonna give you the right verse in the right time. So I would encourage you, if you're watching us, just make sure to have a time for God. Make sure your plans are aligned to God's plan, and the plans of if you're being diligent, is gonna lead you to abundance. That's the number one key of success, and that's something that helped me before. And I always say this: if I start a new business, I will apply the same principles, and the business is gonna be successful. As long as you're applying the same principles and aligning to God's purpose, because God's purpose is better than ours. So I'll leave you guys with this. May God bless you all.
Thank you.